Hello again, it's Mason the Brock Henderson, and I just finished my Bones review. I let it all out. I'm a happier person now. So now it's on to the Blacklist. Also, the fourth episode. Thank goodness they started at the same time so I can. Fourth episode. Enough said. So this one, not as action packed as the last one, whereas the last one was very much a. Yeah, the last one was very much like a little bit more action, a little bit more of chasing and all that stuff. This one it felt very much more like Red was just in control. Like he had no problems. He was not the only thing that really kind of got to him was Dembe. Excuse me. Made me realize, by the way, I realized in my last review of the Blacklist, I started talking about Dembe. I said I'd get to him later. I didn't really touch his story at all, and I apologize for that. So let me just go ahead and quickly recap all that he's been through, because it's been crazy. First of all, I didn't realize he had, I think it's his daughter. Um, they didn't really, I mean, maybe they said it. If they did, it was really quick, but it seems like it's his daughter, the way he cares for her and, really wants to make sure she's okay. But one of the guys that works for the Cabal, uh, like threatens him with his daughter and forces him to come meet him at a restaurant. And so he takes Dembe and starts torturing him for Red's location. And he, just takes it. He does. I think I've seen it before with, like a sock and like putting. He ended up putting pool balls in there, but I think I've seen that type of torture before on some show where they just put something in the sock and just beat the crap out of you until you talk. Um, really, really tough to watch if just knowing that's Dembe. Please stop hurting Dembe. Dembe's awesome. Dembe's a boss. But that's kind of where they left it last time. They threw in another guy that was being tortured, and that's where he is this episode. It's called The Djinn, and hearing that, thinking genie, and that's kind of what this woman is. She's seen as a genie. She grants people's darkest desires and pretty much revenge fantasies for the most part. And Red wants her for some reason. This one they kept a little bit more of a mystery, and I like that. They don't do that very often. It's most of the time it's just, oh, we need to go get that person because of this, and then we're gonna go get that person because of this. And you see that person, you see what they're doing, you're like, okay, that makes sense. This one though was a bit more of a mystery, and I'll get into more of that in a second. But they start off with uh, the Djinn, I guess, uh, really kind of helping out this what looks like this girl and bringing her this man, and you're not really sure what that is. But you see Red and Elizabeth also. They're now hiding out in a Mars place. Yeah, and that's just the way they do it is really funny because uh, Red's talking to this guy about Dembe, and this guy says, "I think I may have found a lead for him," and then he just walks out as Amar's walking in, and like, who are you? And he's probably my favorite character just because for one, he's very innocent. You can tell. Uh, Probably the one you least suspect was an FBI agent because he's very much a tech nerd, and you just get a lot of laughs out of him most of the time because he, when Red comes to visit him in the second season, asking for favors, he's always like, just okay, yeah, and just always looking terrified, like Red's about to shoot him or something. And it's always funny for me just watching him and Red interact. But anyway, Red and Elizabeth come to him searching for the Djinn, and she can only be contacted online. So he helps him with that. Nice touching moment when he sees Elizabeth again. He gives her a big hug and like I missed you so much, and you can just tell that that friendship is still there and that he truly does believe in her, which is nice because we haven't gotten to see that. I talked about last time how Wrestler has been very much like, we gotta get her, we gotta find her, we gotta arrest her, and we haven't really gotten the counterpoint to that. We've gotten Harold Cooper, obviously, just kind of trying to stand up for her, but understanding that she did something wrong. But we haven't really found like the friendship aspect yet, and we got that this episode. I loved it. It was a really good moment, and there is a lot to talk about after this because one of one of the great things about this season so far is there are many unfolding storylines, but it doesn't feel too much. I've seen shows where they've got like four storylines. Gotham is the perfect example. The first season they had four different storylines at least. You had Penguin's storyline, you had Fish's storyline, you had Jim's storyline, you had Barbara's storyline, and sometimes you even had Falcone's storyline. All these storylines, and they it either felt rushed or it felt too much. Like it's hard to describe. You have to just be watching it, and you get that feeling that just, man, this is too much. This feels like they've given me too much information. They're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's hard to keep up. And this show, they've got three storylines going right now. They've got the FBI task force, they've got Elizabeth and Red, and then they've got Harold and Tom. And obviously they have the Jen stuff going on too with the girl that she delivered the man to. And it's a lot of information to take in, but it doesn't feel like it's too much. Like you understand all of it, it goes at a nice pace, and it keeps you well informed as to what's going on next. And the jumps are not so, they're a little bit sudden sometimes where you're in this one situation and now you're over here like, wait, what just happened? Like, sometimes they are a little bit sudden with the jumps, but it's not to the point where it completely takes away from the show. So anyway, back to the show. So you have Elizabeth and Red going to find the Jinn. They're cooped up in this theater place, and he gave a little backstory to the theater about, or maybe not the theater, about this play that he was doing. And it doesn't seem relevant, but at the same time, sometimes it can be relevant. This show does a very good job about bringing in things that you didn't think was that important, and now it's like, oh, yeah, I should have paid attention. But they're hiding out in this theater where, they just, it's pretty much a good place to hide. It looks abandoned, looks run down, so chances of anybody showing up are slim. As far as Dembe, he's still being held captive, but now he's with this other guy who's held captive. He takes a spoon and like sharpens it, which it's Dembe. He's awesome. Just sharpens the spoon, hides it away, and tells the guy, we gotta fight. I got a daughter that I gotta fight for. We can't just stay here. And the guy like looks very scared. Like I don't know about this. So that it stops there for now. And then you get a little bit of Harold and Tom. Harold's telling him, if you really want to help Elizabeth, you got to go after Karakurt, who was the assassin from last season that framed Elizabeth for killing who was it? There was some politician that they were sure Karakurt was going to kill, and it was going to be like a Russian attack that the Cabal set up. And instead of having Karakurt do it, he actually infected Lizzie's hand so that whenever she went to grab him to keep him away from Karakurt, she poisoned him. Which, as much as I hate the bad guys in the show, ingenious. And man, the way they wrote that was pretty incredible. But anyway, so that's where Harold and Tom are at this point. And you can see Tom just kind of struggling with this. He really wants to see her again. And it's like he desperately wants to help her, but he feels helpless at the same time. And that's something we can all relate to. We've all been in that situation before where I really want to help, but there's nothing to do. And so Harold kind of finally gives him a way to help out without, it's not with the FBI at all. It's completely a solo thing, so he'll be on his own, and that's the only catch. So that's where they leave off for now. Go back to Elizabeth and Red. And they're dropping hints. They send in Amar. Have I been saying Amar? It's a Rom. I'm tired. I don't sleep enough. I mess up words all the time. You'll get used to it. They send in a Rom to help out the FBI, give them information about the Jinn because that's what they want the FBI to do. They want to collaborate with the FBI, but at the same time, the FBI thinks, Wrestler thinks that this is all just, oh well, they're giving us information. We'll go get them first. We'll intercept them. And the whole time it's just Lizzie and Red pretty much want them to come along, but they're not really chasing them. They know better. They're smarter. They're quicker. They get done what they need to do, and they leave behind a trail for the FBI to follow, so that the FBI slowly starts to pick up the trail, and they're getting all the information that they're getting, aside from a couple things that Red needs for the next thing. And I love it's seeing it all happen, and seeing, especially because they have that board that they've had since season 1, where it's like they put up pictures, they put up information, and it connects together. And even Samar, she's like, they're fugitives, but they're not running. There's a plan here, and they've got the guy from the first episode, guy from the second episode, guy from the third episode, and they're trying to figure it out. But Red's just one step ahead of him the whole time, because he's got one extra piece of information that he doesn't leave. That leads him to the next one. That'll lead him to the next one. And even though it seems like this long, drawn-out, complicated plan, there is a plan. And knowing that is kind of what keeps me, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So anyway, that's where he and Liz give them information, and they go to meet the Jinn. And Lizzie goes to meet her. And the Jinn kind of reads that she's not giving her the whole story, because they made up this fake story of, oh, I want this. She's like, but that's not really what you want. And Lizzie, having been found out, doesn't want to reveal anything, because there are guards, and she doesn't know if she can trust the Jinn, so she puts a tracker on her shoe, secretly, sneakily. And they go to the Jinn's house. Turns out she's not the Jinn. And kind of, like I said, they made this one a bit more of a mystery. Of like, wait, she's not the Jinn? She was just the face of the Jinn, and made everybody believe that she was the Jinn. Cut back to the girl and the guy that the Jinn had brought her. The guy was the head of this corporation, and he had a son and daughter. The daughter asked for the father. Her revenge fantasy involved her father. And the son has no idea. He's trying to figure out, where's Dad? We have this merger that's about to happen. This company's about to come out and buy our company. Where's Dad? Without him, the merger's going to go through. And this Newcastle court something. I just remember Newcastle because I'm a soccer fan. They're going to come and they're going to buy everything. And the daughter's like, oh, I have no idea. The FBI questioned her, and she completely acts innocent, which very, very good actor. I mean, if the FBI can't see it. And obviously, character, all that stuff, it's part of a TV show. It is acting. I get that. But the fact that the FBI couldn't see the fact that she was lying about it shows that she really does understand what she's doing. And you don't catch that at first until you find out that the lady that they thought was the Jinn is not, because the daughter is the Jinn. And slowly you find out, it gets revealed in bits and pieces. You find out that she's the Jinn. She gets, given her revenge fantasy because now her father kind of cut her out of the business, but she made her own business as the Jinn. And that was just, that reveal was, oh, she's the Jinn. I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Um, and so she's torturing her father, and you can tell that the father's done something really wrong. Elizabeth and Red get to the daughter's house as the FBI are heading towards the house, and they finally figured out that the daughter is behind the corporation that's buying the company, and so they figure out that she's lied about something. But before they can get there, Elizabeth and Red get there, and they find the father being, tortured. Call 911, so paramedics are on the way, and so now the FBI find out that Elizabeth and Red are there, so they're going even, we gotta get there now. And the daughter comes in, and the writing is just really, really on point for this part because you finally find out exactly what happened. The daughter used to be a son of this guy, and because the son was gay, the father had him turned into a girl to avoid embarrassment for the father. That just, wow. I mean, talk about hurt. You completely understand now why all this happened. Because at first I was like, what is this just going to be like? Father beats his daughter, and this is her idea of revenge. Like he beats you, yeah, but it was pretty much like crucifying him on a cross, nails through his hands, and that was a little extreme for father beats his daughter. I was like, there's got to be more to this. Yeah, a lot more. But one of the things I really liked about it was Red had this little speech where he was talking about, a father has his daughter turned into his son because he was too afraid of his son being gay. And he talks. This is a personal thing for me because, I do have my beliefs and I do believe certain things, but too many people that are also, Christians, they are not. They're all about hate. They're all about, oh, that's not a part of our religion, so we shun you. God hates you, and that's not Christianity at all. And that's kind of what he touches on in this little speech of his is our society's become so hate and just revenge filled that people can't even be who they want to be. And I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it really, really hit hard because our society has become that. Our society has become very hate filled, and if it's not something you agree with, well, it's wrong. And I get the irony because these are my opinions that I'm spouting on YouTube, and if you comment in the section below that I'm wrong, well, you're wrong because I made the video, so what up? Humor, everybody. It's my attempt at it. So anyway, that he has a little speech on that. That was nice. Just concise. It fit in the moment. Another great line from Reddington, delivered perfectly by James Spader. Probably one of my favorite actors at the moment. But anyway, goes on a bit more. They convince the daughter to help them out, give them a journal of her clients, and it's like this leather journal that was kept in the safe. The FBI is arriving, and now there's a helicopter coming, and the daughter's like, or I should call her the Jinn now. The Jinn is like, helicopter, there's no way you can get out of this. I can't even I can't even grant you this wish. And of course, it's not a police helicopter. And I love the wrestlers talking to kind of the head of the police that's there. And I love the look on his face because wrestlers talking to him, and he's just sitting there. All of a sudden, he starts looking off in his face. Wrestler's like, "Sir," he's like, that helicopter, that's not ours." I was like, that's awesome. this the look on his face as the realization hits him is like, that's a helicopter. We didn't order a helicopter. What's going on? And so Elizabeth and Red get on the helicopter. Little twist, they don't allow the gin on there. Um, Red told her that she could come, and then Elizabeth says no. And probably because she still feels like, she's done so much wrong, the best thing for her to do is just start doing right. And, you know, this the Jinn is an evil person, even though you feel for her and you understand why she did it because her father really wronged her. Um, and so you do feel for her, but at the same time, she's done so much really evil stuff that it's kind of like, okay, you understand why Elizabeth doesn't let her on the helicopter. And then, of course, Red leaves behind a journal full of the clients, but takes one page. Like I said, always has one clue that takes him a step further to proving Elizabeth's innocence and keeps him a step ahead of the FBI. Okay, so that's the end of that story. Also going on at the same time, Tom and Harold. Harold leaves him with information about Kara Kurt. Kurt likely had his appearance changed, and Tom finally figures out a way in. And of course, he and Elizabeth are still trying to connect. Red tells Elizabeth don't call him, and so she doesn't at the time, calls him later. But that's just more, I guess, story between them. It hasn't always been the strongest part of the show for me. It may be for other, the truly romantic types that really want to see the spy and the FBI agent get together again. I don't know. It's always been kind of a weaker point because it doesn't feel real, I guess, because he married her as a spy, and the whole, oh, but now I love her, so now I'm not going to betray her. That's cliche. Another cliche. But anyway, Tom finally figures out a way in, and it's through this bachelor, one of the 32 youngest, hottest bachelor things in a magazine. This guy has a lot of ties into crime syndicates and stuff, and that's his way to character. And so he ends up, figuring out if I can just pretend to be like a guy that's young and a con man, but also full of potential and full of confidence, then that's my way in. And the way they do the transformation, very well done. Once again, the show nails a lot of things, and this scene just really got you along with it because he's going, he goes and buys a watch, and as he's doing all this stuff, he's telling his story, he's getting it memorized, so that whenever he tells it again, it's true. It's not a lie anymore because he believes it. And so he gets a watch, gets a haircut, gets a new suit, all to meet this guy, and sure enough, he meets him. The guy kind of catches him cheating at craps, they're switching the house dice with loaded dice so he can roll a 7. And, gets into they kind of leave off there. Elizabeth calls him and they have a little talk about, he doesn't have to do this, but he does have to do this. He's already in. And so that's kind of where they leave off there. Finally, Dembe. And this one, really don't know where they're going with this. If they kill off Dembe, I'm not going to be happy. And not in Bones way where the show frustrates me because it used to be good and it's not anymore. This is like I don't want to see this character go, and so if they do kill him off, it's just going to be hard because he is a good character. He's very loyal to Red, and they kill him. Talk more about that next week if it happens. But anyway, he's with this guy. Like I said, he sharpened the spoon to get ready on the attack. The guys come in, and Deme kind of pretends to fight the guy. And whenever the guys come over to kind of break them up, beats them up, the guy pulls out the sharpened spoon, stabs one of the guys in the back of the neck, and Deme fights the rest of them, breaks the guy's neck, takes his gun. And so he escapes with this guy into a truck, and they drive away. A little bit later, it shows them in the truck. Dembe has gotten a newspaper, and he's looking in like the ads section. And he's looking through, and the guy's like, "What are you doing? Like, think you're gonna find it in the ads?" And then he finds something about a tuba thing. If tuba player or tuba, what's it called, the mouthpiece thing, needed, call this number. And he says, "That's how we'll reach Red." And then the guy's like, "That's all I needed to know." Shoot Dembe and takes the newspaper. I'm like, "God, he was a plant, but no, God." And once again, like, you should see this coming because the show does it so much, but at the same time, it's still kind of like, but no, Dembe's shot. He's bleeding. So anyway, that's kind of where they leave off with Dembe. He's in the truck. He's just gotten shot. These people are like, "What's going on?" So hopefully somebody calls 911 before he bleeds out. But the guy takes the newspaper, and it shows him later calling up somebody and saying, "Hey, I know where we can find Reddington." So, and then finally, the guy that Red was talking to at the beginning of the episode, trying to find Dembe, the guy says he found a lead. He takes him to the place where Dembe and the other guy were being held, and that's the last we see of this episode. It's a lot to get through. Like I've said in the last episode, this show has a lot of information thrown at the audience, but they do it in a way that it's not too much, it's not rushed, but at the end of the episode, you do feel the weight of everything that's going on. You've kept up with it. If you've kept up with it all, you know it's going somewhere. A lot of the storylines seem like they're going to connect at some point, but some of them, like Tom, I don't know if him going after character is gonna connect with the Cabal and stuff. It might. But yeah, another really not as action packed as some of the Blacklist episodes, but another episode where really it's building up, and from the previews for next week, it looks like things, stuff's about to hit the fan. So, really, really excited for next week. Really pumped. And I think that's all I gotta say about that. Sometime this weekend, before Sunday, I'll shoot the Walking Dead episodes 1 and 2 for this season. Review for those, which I've got a lot to talk about for those two. So, gonna be quite a few long reviews, and I apologize if you are actually watching this really long review. But yeah, Blacklist still doing well this season, and can't wait to see where it takes it. So, see you at the Walking Dead review. Peace out.